Welcome to KLEAN Radio, the show about addiction and how to overcome it, featuring celebrity and professional interviews with people in recovery and how successful treatment has brought remarkable changes in their lives. With your host, Andrew.
Yeah, it's amazing how pervasive, though, the issues of addiction and mental illness are in just daytime television. Obviously, it's a pretty major issue.
And Judah.
Well, it sounds profound if it doesn't make sense.
I guess so.
That's what I've learned about profoundness.
Break free of those habits that are controlling you. Life is waiting. Come and get it. KLEAN Radio starts now.
Welcome. Happy New Year, everybody. We're here live in Los Angeles. This is Andrew, and I'm here with my co-host, Judah. How are you, Judah?
I am great. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody out there listening in Los Angeles, San Diego, all across America. Happy New Year.
Yeah, on the internet at
KleanRadio.com. That's clean with a K. You see the perfect symmetry that we have, that we've been doing this so long together.
It's magic.
It just sounded Clean Radio at the same time.
That's right.
You want to tell people what Clean Radio is? Yeah,
we're a show about addiction and recovery, and we take calls here in the studio. People can call up with problems with themselves or family members, and we have conversations about how people can get help. Or we also talk about people that have already gotten into recovery and how good their lives are, or issues they might be struggling with still.
Which is actually an amazing thing, because, we've constantly talked about why we do the show, why we set it up. And last night, I was in Rancho Mirage. I got invited out by their...
Sorry to hear that.
And no, it makes, if anybody out there wants to feel young...
Who invited you anywhere?
Ben Stein.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's just pretty cool, yes. Right? And
Bueller,
yes.
Bueller.
And he invited me out to Rancho Mirage. It was an amazing time. And I was talking to one of the women at the table, very bright, very smart lady, and very successful. And her only knowledge really of rehab or treatment centers or the 12 steps were from daytime television shows, right, or Celebrity Rehab, or or the show that we've been on, which was or you were on, which was Dr. Drew's Life Changers.
Right.
This was literally her only vernacular of rehab.
It's not great.
And it's very scary.
Yeah.
And because there's not a lot of hope
Well, I mean, the people that are on that show are not on the show to get sober, I think,
right,
for the most part. I mean, I think some may. I wouldn't say all, but a lot of people on that show are there to get paid to be on TV and be reality stars.
Sadly, one of them died this year.
A few died, right?
But I'm saying Jeff Conway, who was, a regular, sadly.
He was the regular.
He was a series regular on Celebrity Rehab. You see, that's one of those shows you should never be a series regular.
Yeah, right.
That should be like maybe a recurring, your first time on.
Unless, of course, you're one of the counselors.
Right, unless you're one of the counselors.
I mean, if you're out there listening, Bob Forrest is a friend of mine. I don't want to...
And Jennifer Jimenez.
And Jennifer, who works with us, actually.
Who works with us at KLEAN. But, this year we lost a lot of, a lot of amazing, talented people to drugs and alcohol. There were a lot of amazing performers that died.
Absolutely. It's terrible. And those are the ones we know about.
Right.
A lot of people die from drugs and alcohol that we don't know.
Well, millions. But I think for every, these are the faces. I mean, I think when celebrity dies of these certain things, they do give a name to a face of addiction.
Right.
Whether it be Amy Winehouse, Jeff Conway, the guy, Ryan Dunn. I mean, there are a lot of people that that died this year.
Yeah, it's been a very unfortunate year. But it's part of what the show's about, is trying to give people solutions so that those things don't have to happen. And it's unfortunate that things happen on such a public level, but they do. And hopefully they serve as warnings to others that, even fame and...
Right.
And a lot of good, making a lot of money and being successful doesn't necessarily lead to being invincible.
Right. And there are a lot of people listening out there. This is January 1st, and this is one of those days people are, driving home from what could have been a great night and what could have been a really bad night. And I was saying that to somebody last night. I was saying, there's nothing better on New Year's when everything is great.
Well, I think, if people are in pain and people are suffering and they're realizing that maybe there's a problem, this is a great place to call. And
if you're in Los Angeles,
discussing it.
And if you're in Los Angeles, give us a call at 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. One more time, that's 888-539-2980. And if you're in San Diego, give us a call at 888, 1 week only, 601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. And we actually have a really cool show tonight about sobriety.
Yeah.
Yeah. from a woman. Her name is Hayley Mortison. She has created this amazing company called Sober is Sexy. And if you go to if you go to KLEANradio.com, you could look at me, and you could look at one of the shirts that Hayley has created. And what does it say, Andrew?
I was looking at the models. I didn't really see the shirts.
You weren't looking at, and thank you. And it's amazing shirts. It's an amazing company. It's about fashion. It's about enjoying sobriety, talking about how sobriety is sexy. And welcome to the show, Hayley Mortison.
Hey, Hayley, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's to you.
Yeah.
Get those headsets on.
That's right.
What does my shirt say, by the way?
The only Coke I do is diet.
There you go.
There you go. Gave the rest up. You never did Coke, though.
I never did Coke.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
Judas, a pure alcoholic.
I'm a pure.
Wow, a purist.
Yeah,
like it.
But this is one of those yets. It could be a future.
It could be future.
It could be.
He was just never coordinated enough to score. He couldn't, and he didn't have friends.
It's too much work.
It was too much work.
Drug addiction. And I'm always fascinated by the amount of work that it takes to be a drug addict.
It does.
I mean, it's a lot of work.
Oh my God, you're not kidding.
Right? And it's like you constantly. I think that's the biggest problem people have when they're getting sober is they have so much free time on their hands. I mean, you constantly hear it from people, and you see the look on their face of surprise when they get sober, like, what do I do now?
Yeah,
exactly.
True.
Well, I think what they do now is they stop thinking about themselves and start thinking about other people. And I think get out of your head and get into someone else's life and help the demons go away.
Don't just destroy your own life. Spread the good news.
Well, I think, but it's something very interesting to talk about. It's because most people that get sober, get sober through family members, or their family members insisted on them coming to get sober, and it's almost like the change that happens to them they're not used to.
Right.
Your kid gets out of rehab, your wife, your son, your daughter, and you're like, you don't even know what to do.
Well, and that it's a family problem.
Right.
And that the issues that go around along with the addiction are systemic throughout the family. So
Correct.
You have a lot of problems with relationships within the family, even when somebody gets sober. And a lot of times addiction is brought on by some of these pre-existing problems. Anger management within the family, domestic abuse, trauma, sexual abuse. There's a lot of stuff that can happen.
I agree. And I also, as far as the families go, I mean, there is a lot of denial. And I think that things go on without people actually wanting to realize that someone's in trouble.
Denial and enablement, right, where people actually help
Correct.
promote and continue the process of addiction and avoiding or being scared that, the person might die, and so they keep allowing them to use.
Absolutely.
So we see a lot of that as well.
I mean, you see that also, I had a friend that was at a party the other night, and a certain actor that's lost a lot of weight recently, Jonah Hill, was there, and it was honoring him for something. And I said, how did he look?
OA achievement against donuts?
I didn't hear you.
I said his OA achievement
his fight against donuts. And but again, and it's like, and we were talking about this in the office the other day. Right. He's like one of those guys, he looks better.
A little chubby.
Yeah. He's, but
really?
But comics are, it's like a lot of comics look good fat, right?
Yes.
Like John Belushi.
Right, but that's what I was about to say.
Farley,
John Candy. How many people didn't want them to get help because they were riding on them staying unhealthy?
Yeah.
And that's insane. It's like, Jonah Hill, keep losing the weight, get healthy, be as healthy as you can. I'm sure we'll get used to you the way you look. But in his mind, he must have the fear of God in him.
Yeah, I saw him on Jon Stewart the other night, and he was talking a lot about how he just decided it was time to get healthy. But it's ironic that he did it right after doing Moneyball with Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
if that's not good incentive, right? I don't know.
I can't say that might be the best.
He probably
didn't
have
a
single woman look at him for like the whole entire 90-day shoot. Right? It was like he was just ignored for 90 days.
You're listening live to KLEAN. You're listening live to KLEAN Radio. The number here is 888-539-2980, 888-539-2980. In the studio tonight with Hayley Mortison, founder of SoberIsSexy.com. You're a former fashion model. Why SoberIsSexy.com? What is SoberIsSexy.com?
Hi. Well, actually, it's Hayley Mortison.
How did I pronounce it?
I'm correcting you. It's Mortensen.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
No. It's no worries.
He's now 1 for 27 shows this season alone. So
I like it, Mortensen. It works. Okay, yeah, I'm an addict,
right.
and That's how it started. So when I got sober, I was in the south of France with a bunch of girlfriends, and I had 6 months sober, and I turned to one of them and I said, how am I ever going to have sex sober again? I mean, sober, period.
Right.
And they were like, sober is sexy. And I thought, yeah, sober is sexy. And I immediately went and bought the domain, and I thought there's something to this. I need to pay it forward. I have such a gift. What can I do?
The sex part?
No, I was joking. The sober sex part? Bada bing, bada boom.
Actually, we've confirmed that Judah actually has a girlfriend.
Yes.
So.
Oh, you do? You're off the market.
Yes, I am.
Oh.
There was a little hesitancy there.
No, there's absolutely no hesitation.
I heard it there.
There is absolutely.
I'm a little concerned about that.
No, there is absolutely no hesitation. It was a different.
You're just tired from last night, right?
I'm extremely tired. Spending it with my beautiful girlfriend. Anyways, let's get back to
our.
I
don't know,
They get me into trouble.
I love it. And this is how Sober is Sexy began. And I have an amazing graphic designer that works with me, and my daughter, who's also involved, who now has over 6 months sober. She's 23 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, and I saw a need for, especially, well, for everyone, but especially for kids out there that don't look at sobriety as something that's cool or interesting or aspire to be. And finally, with what we came out with is it's rock and roll, it's punk rock, it's something kids can relate to. There's a message, but it has an edge. And I think, God, everyone getting sober, there are rock and rollers and punk rockers out there and musicians and actors. And I mean, this is, something that if you get on the bandwagon, sober's kind of the new black.
Well, it's kind of weird. Judah's still trying to get past being Jewish.
Yeah. That's another 50 years.
He can't make it to black.
Yes.
So. Anyway, we actually have a call. Should we jump on the call?
Yeah.
Sure.
I love how you always sound surprised.
Surprised.
You're like, we actually have a call.
Well, we actually have 2 calls, so we're lining them up today.
Giddy.
Why don't we take the first one on line 1? We got John from Laguna Beach. Welcome to KLEAN Radio, John.
Hi, John. This is John from Laguna Beach.
Welcome, John.
Hi, John.
Thank you very much. Yes.
You have a question or comment or what's going on?
I have a question. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you got it.
I was just driving and pulled over, actually, to listen, and I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I drink pretty much every night, and I like to drink, but sometimes it gets out of hand. And I cannot, stop drinking every night. Well, it just comes at nighttime, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And my question is, how could I have a control of how much do I drink?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How can you control how much you can
control
drink?
How much you drink?
Right.
Is
there any medication or anything I
this
can
is
take?
this is the question of all time.
Yeah, this is like a 5,000-year-old question.
People have been trying for years to figure out whether drug use leading to addiction or alcohol use leading to addiction can be controlled by medication, and so far we haven't found a medication that can do that. So what's happening with you is that you've actually engaged in drinking to the point where you're now drinking every night. And that's progressively leading towards alcoholism. And you might actually already be an alcoholic. It's hard for me to tell just speaking to you over the phone, but how much you're drinking and the effects. But, obviously you're concerned enough about it to call.
And pull off over on the side, which is a great idea, pull over if people want to call out there and you're driving.
Yeah.
Well, and I just want to jump in here and say we're so glad that you did call. And also, why don't you give it, this is what I always say, give it 30 days of not drinking and using. Just 30 days. See if you can do that. If you can't do it, then maybe head to a meeting and get some support out there from people that can understand you as we do.
My only concern would be, John, how much have you been drinking a night?
Well, it depends. To 1 beer to maybe 2 or 3 glasses of whiskey or something like that.
Right.
Not heavily, no.
If you
maybe
are,
a bottle of wine,
Yeah. Well, if you are considering stopping drinking, I do advise that you speak with a doctor, because there are consequences to stopping immediately on your own that could be really negative.
And I think that's a big misconception, by the way, people have with,
Well, we were actually talking about this the other day, just in the office, that over at KLEAN, that they used to detox people off of alcohol with alcohol,
Right.
that they would just lower the amount you drank until the point that you were sober.
Right.
We now have a lot of medications that help with people detoxing off of alcohol.
It just as a precaution.
In an easier way.
Because, you have been drinking for 20 years, 30 years, and you've been drinking every night. It stands to reason you might need some help.
And it can really lead to some serious medical issues. So, I think it's really great that you recognize that maybe it's time to take a break. And maybe you might be one of the people that can moderate your drinking. Right. There are people that can. I mean, kids go off to college and they drink really heavily for 4 years, and then they go back from college and they're fine. But if you've been drinking every night and now you're getting to the point where you feel like you have to drink every night and you have that compulsion to drink, that generally means that you've sort of crossed over that line into alcoholism. So
my question, another question I have is, why is it it's certain time of day? Let's say 5 o'clock.
It's a habit.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that trigger people to drink. So, you probably set rules for yourself, and there's certain different stages of alcoholism. There's different sort of restraints that people put on their drinking. So people may say, okay, I won't drink till 5, or I won't drink till after work, and then they don't feel guilty about drinking, but then they can't control the stopping drinking once they've started.
It could also be that his body physically needs it at 5 o'clock.
He's withdrawing,
and at 5 o'clock, that's as far as his body could go.
And your mind and body sets itself up and acclimates itself to needing the alcohol at that time.
Right.
I see.
Right.
Why don't you go to our website? We could answer a lot of the questions. Go to cleantreatmentcenter.com. Give us a call. It's totally free. We could answer any question you might have about this.
Yeah, we have treatment professionals available right now. And if you have a pen or something, it's 888-601-6040. You can call that number at any time and talk to a treatment professional who's available.
Because like Hayley was saying, it's like there's so much help out there that nobody has to go at it alone. And here's the biggest thing, John, that if you're calling and asking if you have a problem, you probably do.
Yep.
Yeah, I know I do.
It's like, when somebody says, do I look fat? The answer's always yes.
And John, no matter what, we'll make sure you get some help, okay? Yeah. So call that number, all right? And if you missed the number, you can go to our website. It's KLEAN with a K, KLEAN center.com, okay?
And get sober and sexy, John.
Yeah, sober and sexy.
It's a new year.
And you could be sitting in a radio studio with the lovely Hayley.
And John, hang on. We're going to let someone speak to you in our studio, okay? So we're going to pass the call back to the studio and let them help you out. Thanks for calling. Let's jump into another call. We got line 3. We've got Hannah. Hannah's daughter.
Oh, it's Miss Hannah Beth. Hi, honey.
Hi. So I was calling to ask you, what's the hardest part about being sober?
Who are you asking that to, Hannah? Your mother?
Hayley. Yeah.
Hannah's actually a huge part of Sober is Sexy, and she's been sober 6 months.
Oh, right
I
on,
love
Hannah.
you.
That's awesome.
She's in Aspen right now,
7
living the hard
months
life.
Hannah, I'm gonna tell you something that it's a great question, and I'm constantly asked this. Last night I was out in this clubhouse, and this woman, really nice woman, was saying to me, "What is the hardest thing about New Year's?" She goes, "Do you still think about it?" And I said to her, "My first New Year's sober was so hard." Because I had no sober memories. And this is the same thing you were talking about when you first said how you came up with your website. How do you have sober sex?
Absolutely.
Because most people, when they get sober, have usually almost never had sober sex or sober memories. Yeah. And I said to this woman, and I said,
or any memories.
Or any memories, really, right. And I said, it's almost like you're recreating your own memories. So that first New Year I had sober, after I stayed sober, I was able to, the next New Year, I had a sober New Year's memory. And it's not just with being people sober. It's like if you come from an abusive home.
Was it a good memory, Jada?
It was a great memory. And you want to know why? Because I remembered. And
That's right.
But it's the same thing from an abusive home or for anything like that. If you're coming, you have to make your own memories. Mm-hmm. And how many people do we constantly hear talking about the past and sadness? What's the best way to create a future of happiness is by creating new memories and new experiences. So Hannah, I mean, that was the hardest thing for me in the beginning.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yes.
Well, I think the fact is that we all drink and use to escape. something, and obviously our feelings about something. So I think on an everyday basis of being sober and staying sober, there are moments in your life where you just want to check out a little bit, just a little bit. And the hardest thing is you're taking the thought of taking that first drink and easing that feeling. But then when you look at the big picture and realize it's not just one drink, it's 2 drinks, it's 3 drinks, it's a Xanax, it's a joint, it's wherever it takes you to.
When I think about life in recovery, is about learning how to check out without checking
That's
out
right.
with drugs. It's figuring out
That's
how
exactly
to
right.
But
when you first get sober, you've got to figure that out, you know, and it does take...
And most people that don't stay sober are people that when they hit that day, you know, something we often talk about is most alcoholics and addicts believes their feelings can kill them. It's a very irrational, crazy fear because your feelings can't. But many people get to that day where they're in so much pain that they decide, that's it, I'm going to check out that day. The ones that stay sober out there are the ones that make it through that day, get good memory recall and go, oh my God, I was in so much pain yesterday and I'm not dead. And we see it all the time.
Well, we see a lot of people we see in recovery, they come in to clean or they go other places and they get sober, and you see this new beginning. It's a new beginning of a life.
Well, you see the lights turn on.
I can't really hear.
Oh.
What? Sorry,
Yeah, right. No. You're bored. You're done.
I'm going to a movie now, and I love you.
I love you.
Okay. Love you too.
Stay sober and sexy.
Thanks for calling,
Thanks
Hannah.
for calling. You're
Okay.
listening out there to KLEAN Radio Live. That's KLEAN with a K. And the number to call in is 888-539-2980. That's a busy sound. That's 888-539-2980. 888-539-2980. In the studio tonight with Hayley Mortison and owner.
You're not just going to get it right.
Mortison, I said it correctly.
You absolutely did.
Owner of SoberIsSexy.com. Andrew, I love how you're gazing at me tonight. It's really it's this gaze of love.
Well, you know, it is.
Yeah.
It is love.
It's okay to say you love me.
I love you, Judah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you
Aww.
too. Yeah, we have a groovy, me and Andrew and I have a groovy kind of love. So you're in France. So you're in France, and you're with your friends.
It's not
who
that
are sober.
groovy.
It's
like white man groovy.
You guys are having
It's
a
like-
chatty conversation as I'm like trying to. And you're in the south of France.
What are you trying to do?
I love how I'm saying you're in the south of France trying to get. You're 6 months sober. Somebody says, and you come up with this SoberIsSexy.com. It's great T-shirts. I mean, heroin killed the radio star. Is that what it said?
Heroin killed the radio star. The only coke I do is diet.
Yeah.
We have them all out there for you now.
And
Party
there are-
poison.
And there are a lot of kids out there. I agree with you. We have a lot of teenagers out there that think this is, that think it's, that don't get the real enjoyment out of life.
Oh, I just wanted to say for your benefit that one of the T-shirts, Don't Die, came from a Richard Hell song.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, and it was the lyrics in the chorus. And it said, Don't Die. And I thought, what an awesome shirt.
Right?
Don't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't
obvious,
know who Richard
but
Hell is, but
you don't know who Richard Hell is?
No.
Wow, he's like one of the quintessential founders of punk rock.
that's why I don't know. Okay, because all punk rock sounds the same.
Ooh,
Wow.
Show wing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard me say it out there.
Wow. Okay,
And by the
so-
way, can I just get back? It's funny that the last caller before your daughter was John from Laguna Beach had a great question, and you're right. It's like a 5,000-year-old question. Can I moderate my drinking?
Absolutely.
And it's like if you're out there asking, it's like think about it. It's like, can I have 5 wives? The answer is no. There might be the one guy out there that's able to
but
function.
that ambivalence of wanting to moderate your drinking is between that pull of feeling something good from drinking at first, matched with that pull of drinking and feeling out of control and then feeling miserable.
Right.
And so they're stuck, unable to stop drinking, and yet they're still drinking and wanting to stop, and that ambivalent place where they just are in a place where they can't do anything.
Exactly.
And it's that need to take action that's important. And I think, listening to our show, calling, getting some help, that's a huge step. They say that most alcoholics that just use alcohol, it takes 7 years from when they've noticed they first have a problem before they reach out for help.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, an amazing amount.
Let's go into line 1. We got another call.
Yes.
We've got Teresa from Inglewood. Teresa, welcome to KLEAN Radio.
Thank you guys so much.
Welcome, Teresa.
Teresa?
I'm calling because I have a 19-year-old son, and I'm just getting tired of his marijuana addiction.
Mm-hmm.
He spends all his check on his marijuana, and I'm getting sick of it. And today I let him know, and I'm trying to not discourage him in quitting. I mean, I want him to quit, but what I'm saying is I don't want him to go and smoke more because I'm constantly on him. So how do I
think that's
talk to him without discouraging him?
Well, I think first of all, I think that's a rational fear that if you confront an addict with their use, that they'll use more to try and escape the fear that they're facing of having to quit. Does your son live with you?
Yes, he does.
So, one of the things I would recommend is that you yourself actually start with some counseling as well, just to deal with the process of what we call enabling, which means that you're actually allowing him to use. And obviously you're grappling with that right now. How do I help my son who I care about and love, and I don't want to reject him?
Yeah.
But yet how do I also engage with him in a healthy way that lets him get help?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. So, a lot of people, there's the old school thinking that you should just cut him off, throw him out, and whatever. And
that's what I get a lot. Yeah.
And if you've listened to the show at all in the past, you would know that Judah and I talk a lot about that. Neither of us agree that that's the good way to go. Right. We believe in love and embracing people and giving them an opportunity to get better.
And I also think the biggest fear in a mom, I also have a 17-year-old son as well as a 23-year-old daughter, but I think our fear is you have to be able to keep the communication open. I mean, you don't want to shut it down because that's your only resource in knowing where he is in his drug addiction.
Exactly.
And
you know what,
We're
Teresa,
gonna put
could
you on hold.
hang on the line for a second? We have to go out for a commercial break, and we'll put you on the radio when we come back again, okay? It's KLEAN Radio. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call KLEAN Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future.
Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. If you would like to join in on the discussion or are in need of immediate addiction assistance, call 800-539-2980. That's 800-539-2980. Or go to KLEANradio.com. That's clean with a K. Now, back to Andrew and Judah.
Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. Judah, we're about to join Teresa's call again, but just quickly let people know who we are and what we're doing.
You're listening to KLEAN Radio Live. The number in L.A. is 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. One more time, it's 888-539-2980. And for this week only, if you're in San Diego, give us a call at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. KLEAN Radio is a show about addiction and recovery. We're here to take your calls about any questions you have.
And we're trying to finish up our Facebook Drive.
Yes.
Mention that a little bit real quick.
It's the 5,000 likes of Christmas, and we will be donating money to the Los Angeles Children's Hospital for every like that we get.
All you have to do is go to facebook.com/KLEAN
and like
Radio
us.
and like us, and we'll donate $1.
We'll donate $1.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Which, that was all Andrew. Andrew's a sweetie pie.
That's
huge. Or as other people know him
it's
as.
Judah's idea. It's my money.
Yeah, that's how it always is.
Hey, whatever it takes.
We're on the line. We're on the line with a very interesting caller. But before we get back to her, I think it's real. I just want to say something. I'm 35 years old. I got sober when I was 22. And obviously when you get sober young, your parents have a huge influence on your life. And my parents had a really hard time because they would constantly listen to many people telling them what to do with me. And my father used to say, listen, as long as my son is alive, there is a chance.
That's right.
And like we were talking about, that's really our philosophy, is as long as there's a chance, we're not going to give up on you. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of tough love.
Well, so many addicts are afraid of abandonment. Let's join back with Teresa. If we get her back on the line.
Well, impossible is only an opinion.
Hi, Teresa. You back with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Thank you for staying through the commercial break. Just to recap, you have a 19-year-old son who's been using marijuana.
Yeah.
And you're concerned about confronting him and dealing with it. Is that a good summary?
I don't want to put him down and discourage him and make him, kind of stray from me, because I do believe in talking to him all the time. And
are you a single mom?
Not the tough love. Also, a lot of people keep telling me, you need to throw him out. You need to just let him hit rock bottom. But I can't do that.
And you're right for that. I mean, you throw a 19-year-old kid out. Trust me, only farther worse could happen.
That's exactly
But
what
Andrew did give you the best advice, and this is the advice that my parents finally took, was they started taking care of themselves and getting healthy themselves. Okay. And they started to get a support group. And in the end, my father used to say to me, I'm going to help you out, but the help you're going to need is when you call me, I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to give you a place to live, but I will put you in rehab. And my father, that was what it had come down to. And I knew what you're going through now is so hard, but there is help out there and there's support. So you don't have to go through this by yourself.
I think a lot of people think that marijuana is a significant drug.
That's
another. And, marijuana has become so much stronger in the last 40 years since it really sort of hit America.
I kind of feel it's a gateway drug to maybe him starting on trying something else.
It's not even a gateway drug anymore.
It is the drug
now.
Marijuana
is so dangerous. And we're not saying this to scare people. We're not saying this, it's like the guy that came into your high school and
fried an egg on a platform or something.
One of those one of those movies from the 50s. With people growing marijuana themselves these days, and
19-year-old son, the frontal lobe is still developing, and the brain is still developing. So things like impulse control, memory, all these very important elements of a brain working and functioning properly are still developing. And the studies show that development and growth now goes into your 20s. So at 19, he's at a very vulnerable time to be using a substance like marijuana that actually affects how the brain works.
Yes, and I can definitely prove that. He went from a 4.0 average in high school to a 2.7.
Right. So,
I still will say keep the communications open, because something's going on with your son, and as long as he has someone to talk to about what's really going on, and get yourself out there and get some support from people that understand exactly what you're going through.
Yeah, Teresa, there's a lot of information on our website, Klean Treatment Center or kleancenter.com. And I'm going to put you on hold as well and let you speak to Rand, who's in our studio, and he can help get you some more help, okay?
Thank you so much.
I really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Great.
You're listening to KLEAN Radio Live. The number here is 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. We're in the studio tonight with the amazingly talented Hayley Mortison, whose last name I have a really hard time pronouncing.
I like the amazingly talented.
Founder of SoberIsSexy.com. And I think, it's like I'm looking at the shirt you gave me, and it's something to embrace. It's something really cool that you did. You got sober. You questioned how you're going to do it. You questioned how it's going to be fun. What am I going to do? And you came up with an idea, Sober is Sexy. And that's, I think that's amazing.
Why did you decide to get sober?
I decided to get sober because my life had just come to a screeching halt. I was a functioning alcoholic, but I was a prisoner within myself. And I was starting to isolate. I was starting to black out. And I was a mom. And I was starting to drive around drunk with my kids in the car.
It's scary.
And you justify everything. You justify the tumbler of vodka with ice in the car at 7 in the morning while you're driving your son to school. You justify the fact that, everyone's done me wrong. I think that is a bumper sticker for every alcoholic out there.
Right.
And I am going to blame all of them so I can continue staying a mess.
Yeah, it's so common that people that are using blame others for their problems.
Absolutely.
And the reason is they don't want to get confronted. So if you can be more aggressive than the person that's trying to help you and blame them, then it keeps them away.
Well, there's always a reason to drink or use. I'm so happy I need a drink.
Right.
I'm so miserable I need a drink. I'm so happy I want to party. I'm so miserable I want to just knock myself out. So, I mean, it's...
I finally feel healthy enough to drink.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I'm not sick anymore. Oh, good. I can make myself sick again.
Yeah. Well, my screeching halt came from... I was living in the Hollywood Hills, and I ended up having a home invasion on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was actually trying to get sober on my own that night.
And it wasn't Santa.
It wasn't Santa. Unfortunately. And I ended up jumping off my roof and running for my life and breaking all the bones in my feet. And
oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and learning how to walk again. Well, what better excuse to stay loaded all day in a wheelchair?
Having pain pills.
Yeah. And your friends are going, shh, don't talk to her. It's okay. She went through a horrible experience. But within that, someone ended up taking me to an AA meeting. And
so you were in chronic pain, or do you think you were just using pills? Were you using pills at that point? Or?
No, I just continued with my boyfriend, Kettle One, and we
One.
stayed together a little bit longer. And
free advertisement for your ex-boyfriend.
Exactly. No.
Well, no,
well,
it's
hey,
not like
it's
right.
a great vodka.
It doesn't sound like a pretty
That's a good
picture.
T-shirt. Kettle One is my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have a new T-shirt coming out. You booze, you lose.
You booze, you lose. Yeah, that's a good one too.
There you
Absolutely
go. I like that.
True.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so you jumped. So what happened? You went to a meeting.
Went to a meeting. I went to a meeting full of women. I can't stress enough how just being in a meeting with a bunch of people that I could relate to and who could also relate to me. I mean, it's extraordinary to realize you're not crazy. You basically have a disease and an allergic reaction to alcohol. And
well, I like how you just said that, because a lot of people, when they're going through active alcoholism or active addiction, feel crazy because they can't understand. Alcoholism, it's become such a flippant word. Oh, they're an alcoholic. But they really don't understand what it is.
Absolutely.
They really don't understand the concept, like John was calling before, that you can't moderate. Right. When a human can't moderate, it's probably one of the worst feelings in the world.
And it's a progressive disease.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those are clear
right.
indications that somebody's becoming an alcoholic or has become an alcoholic, when you can't control that feeling of craving. That feeling of craving is something that develops from tolerance, and then biochemically your brain isn't the same anymore. Mm-hmm. So you need to get sober and let it readjust. And then even after that, it can quickly reacclimate to addiction.
And what's fascinating to me is after a while, I just couldn't get high enough. I couldn't get drunk enough or high enough. Right. And that's a pure indication.
Most of the benefits of alcohol happen within the first 2 drinks.
Right.
After that, it's just downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I wasted a lot of money.
You're just numbing yourself more and more.
I should just drank orange juice.
But the positive effects after 2 drinks are diminished. They diminish. So they're, all the, whatever you think alcohol is working for you in any way, after 2 drinks, you're not getting that anymore.
How did this idea of, because I don't know, and I'm asking you, you've been in this field for, God, a long time. And
22 years.
22 years. How did this theory of tough love, because the way I look at tough love is almost like electroshock therapy. It's like it didn't work. It was an okay concept, I guess, when you came up with it, but it's time to move past it.
Well, I think it's typical of what we've talked about before on the show as well. In America, we have these 2 schools of thoughts. You have the very religious-based, puritanical, sort of Christian, guilt, sin-ridden type of belief system. And then you have this very libertarian, cowboy individualism, Ayn Rand sort of, America, and you're an individual, you can do anything. And the 2 don't really fit together very well when it comes down to practical issues like a problem.
Right.
So the tough love thing, I think, largely came out of people that believed you should blame the person that has a problem, and there should be very, very strict consequences. And the people that don't have the problem or don't seem to have the problem, the family, obviously they're not part of the problem. It's only the identified client or patient. And so the idea was just to get rid of them, push them out, and let them get their own help, and let the people that supposedly are healthy survive. We've come a long way since that first started in the early 60s and 70s, where we figured out that the whole dynamic of the family and the family unit is involved in an addiction, in an addictive process. And if not directly in facilitating it, then the effects of the addicted person affects the whole family. Mm-hmm. So it's so important that people realize that just getting the person who's addicted clean and sober is just the beginning of the recovery process.
Right.
Well, they're all in the dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that dance goes on even once they get sober.
Mm-hmm.
Relapse is very common, and it's a lifelong process of dealing with recovery. We've got another call. Why don't we go in? We got on line 3. We have a call. We have Bill from Whittier. Bill, are you there? You're on KLEAN Radio?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hi,
How
Bill.
are you doing?
Sorry. Bill, welcome to KLEAN.
I didn't want to bother you guys, but this question has popped up before. I love near beer.
Yes.
It has 0.5% alcohol in it,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently I can drive a car or fly an airplane or anything else on near beer, and it doesn't. There's nothing to it. It's the only thing I enjoy drinking anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and I drink about possibly 8 bottles a week. They're 12-ounce bottles, so it isn't great.
So, do you have a history? Do you have a history of alcoholism?
No.
No.
Hell no.
Oh, you lucky
Okay.
duck.
Yeah.
Right?
So what's your
drinking.
question about near beer?
I just wondered if it was too strong or if it was. I'm 87 years old. I don't.
God
know.
bless you.
Yeah.
Drink as much near beer
drink,
as humanly
I
possible.
think the only thing you have to worry about with that is calories, Bill.
Yeah.
Try and keep your weight under control, and
That's what I was worried
And
about,
I would
too.
drink water as well, because the liver has trouble actually clearing itself, and the kidneys, if you have just other substances, you need to drink just plain water as well. So, have a glass of water for every near beer you have. You'll be fine.
Oh, heavens to Betsy. I never liked water.
Well, just chug one down. All right, Bill. Thanks for your call. I really
Happy
appreciate
New
it.
Year.
Happy New Year, Bill. But that actually is a great question. We'll get to it after this call.
Yeah, we got another
especially
call.
with alcoholics.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump in. We got Veronica on line 1 from Burbank. Veronica, you're welcome to KLEAN Radio.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Welcome,
No problem.
Veronica.
Hi, Veronica.
Hi. Yeah, I was just wondering, we're having a New Year's Eve party, and I knew my husband, I don't know, it seemed like it was more than just drinking, and then found out later there was ecstasy involving him taking ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
Who had taken ecstasy? Your husband?
The husband.
My husband, yeah. So I was just wondering, is that something that's addictive? And
Oh, extremely.
Yeah, well, we don't know. I mean, ecstasy is a street term for a class of drugs that developed out of a drug called MDMA. But now,
Which was used with psychiatrists
and
for a
they're
long
trying
time
to
as
actually,
a truth serum.
they're actually trying to bring it back into therapy. And you're right, it was designed to help bring out of emotive or positive feelings of attachment to spouses or people that were in relationships. That drug MDMA is now mixed in labs, mostly out of Europe, with a whole range of drugs. So they mix it with speed, they mix it with heroin, they
It's
mix
really
it
dangerous.
with all sorts of stuff. So, and then they market and sell it as these tabs called ecstasy, and they look like Pez almost.
How did you find out that he took something else other than alcohol?
He was very amorous.
well, yeah, I could tell, yeah. Pretty
With
much,
himself.
yeah. He was really fun and having a good time and just kind of all over me. And, it just seemed a little bit more than, just drinking, which most of us were doing. But then I heard from someone else that someone had some. And then so I had, a little bit of a problem first that, it was done in kind of a secret way. And then
That's an odd feeling, I think, for a spouse. It's like a betrayal in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're being lied to, and you don't know what's going out, and that feeling of not knowing what's going on and lack of control.
yeah, and I definitely have heard of it, but I just, and you hear a lot of people, they drop it, or
It is an extremely dangerous drug.
Very addictive.
The way it's used on the street level.
Well, I mean, the two most common ways of people dying from using ecstasy, or they drink too much water, or they don't drink enough and they dehydrate, and then they have a cardiac arrest. Ecstasy generally inhibits the body from self-regulating its own temperature. And so people don't know if they're really hot or really cold, or if they need to drink or they don't drink. And so And if they mix it with alcohol and other things, then you're getting into really dangerous problems.
Well, that's the thing, not to mention everything it's cut with. I mean, you don't know what you're getting on the streets anymore.
Right. Exactly. It's amazing. We were talking about this one week. We were joking around. You have all these health freaks out there that have no problem doing ecstasy.
Right, or mushrooms,
right,
or whatever,
it's like they'll go to the gym. They're vegetarians. But ecstasy, that's okay. It's kosher. They don't care that it was cut in some lab by, And that's the danger. Like you just said, you don't know what you're getting when you put it into your mouth.
I mean, I think this is a difficult situation, Veronica, because you have, unless, if this is a first time, I guess, that he's done this that you know of, or?
Well, that's what I was trying to get out of him, and it seemed like maybe he had done it before again, like without telling me. So I think that's one of my concerns is, okay, I don't know what to do. We talked about it, and then, that's why I was wondering, too, on the addiction level.
That is a good question.
Yeah, I absolutely think, talking about it is the most important thing. And, if you're comfortable with your husband and talking about it and telling him that you're concerned and that your concern is about his health, and that you guys have an open relationship and that you're able to speak clearly about...
Open in the healthy
way.
way.
Let's all get serious here. We know that addicts, alcoholics, and drug addicts, we love to lie.
Right.
It's what we do
right.
very, very well.
Yeah.
And
how old is he? How old are you guys, if you don't mind me asking?
He's 35 and I'm 31.
Right, the odds are it's probably not his first time.
Yeah.
I don't mean to break your husband's cover, but usually at the age of 35, you don't do ecstasy for the first time, or know people.
And
or not, or the fact that perhaps this is something he tried and he liked it, and then as time went on, he did it again, and he felt that he couldn't come clean with you about it. And
I think
probably because we drink, but I don't really do anything else, and so I don't know if it was a hiding because he's hiding something.
How much is he drinking?
Because he doesn't want to, help me.
How much, Veronica? How much is he drinking?
We don't drink on a daily basis, but when we have either parties or date night, we'll drink wine or sometimes tequila, but never overboard.
Right.
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, the one thing is you got to remember this stuff's progressive. So at 31, you got to look forward to, if you don't start moderating that drinking into sort of normalized social drinking. He's 35.
Yeah.
So, as you get to 40, 41, then you get into the picture where progressively your tolerance to alcohol builds and you have to drink more and more and more. And so now might be a good time to try and talk about moderating drinking and not using drugs.
But also, I just have to say, this isn't your problem. This is something that he's doing. And so I think it's important to bring that into play. You're going to communicate with him, and you're going to be honest with him, and you're hoping he's going to be honest with you. But in the meantime, in a sense, you're kind of powerless over what he does.
Well, the problem I think that Veronica does have, though, is that she has the problem of she feels she can't communicate with her husband.
Well, yeah, because
easily,
he has betrayed.
And it feels dangerous. Is that right, Veronica? Do you feel uncomfortable or?
Yeah, I'm more concerned just because I don't really know the effects of it. Like, if that is something I really need to pursue seriously, if it's an addictive drug that.
Well, it is an addictive drug.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything really all that great coming from people that use ecstasy.
Right.
It's like,
the depression afterwards.
Yeah.
It messes up your serotonin.
It can lead to drug-induced psychosis.
Right.
It can lead to death. It can lead. There's all sorts of things that can happen. So it's illegal for a reason.
Yeah, and listen, it wouldn't hurt. I've never been married, so I don't have any opinion on this. Both of you have been. I would, why
Thanks
not?
for pointing that out.
Call a therapist. Call a therapist. Call a marriage therapist. Go to counseling.
Yeah, I think so. I think if it starts, that's what I think I've been freaking out about.
Yeah, because I get what you're going through. You're like saying to yourself, maybe I get what you're going through. You're like, why does he need to do that?
Right.
Aren't I enough?
Well, there's ways to learn communication skills to really help. I'm going to put you on hold, Veronica, and we're going to let you talk to Rand in the back as well.
That was pretty good, right?
And he can help you. We actually have an outpatient program that we do at KLEAN too, which works with families and with family members and can be really helpful in talking about how to deal with spouses and dealing with early issues of abuse, maybe not addiction, but abuse of substances. So Veronica, you'll be able to talk to Rand in the studio, and we'll get you some help, okay?
By the way, you're listening to KLEAN Radio Live. That's KLEAN with a K. The number here is 888-539-2980, 888-539-2980. You could also find us online at KLEANwithak.radio.com. That's KLEAN with a K, or, yeah.
The show's flying by.
Yeah.
We're like at 51 here.
We have an amazing guest, Hayley Mortison from SoberIsSexy.com, and you have amazing perspectives. And you're a mother that's sober. You're sober. You're sober yourself. You have a daughter that's sober now, 6 months. I mean, that's how was that? I mean, it was when you watched your daughter going through what she was going through. Did you have guilt from what you had done? How did you resolve those issues? That's a whole other show, I know. We are going to have you and your daughter back on the air.
Yeah, you are. That's going to be exciting.
Yes.
I'd love to be on the show with Hannah as well. And the fact is, I was so grateful to be sober at the time and to see her start to decline into her drug addiction. And I knew that there would be a window of opportunity. And that window of opportunity came, and I took it. And I moved her out of her apartment. She came to live with me. And speaking of tough love, I suppose that's what it was. But it was, I've never felt closer to her in doing this journey together. And I think that with families out there, when you have that, there's something pretty amazing about sharing this gift, because really, frankly, it is a gift.
I mean, I would call that constructive love.
Or love tough.
Or,
like my friend.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the beginning,
it.
you feel like you're invading, you're taking someone's life and you're saying, look, you're done. We're done. You're not doing this anymore. You're going to hurt yourself or someone else. And, she howled like a dog outside for a couple days.
Right.
And she got through it, and we did it together. And it's one day at a time, everybody.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a daily reprieve.
You think in your family it was genetic?
Yeah, we had alcoholism that did run in our family, so absolutely.
Interesting.
And, it's funny that you say that, by the way, or we were talking about tough love, and I one time heard somebody say the anesthetic of love with the scalpel of pain, or the scalpel of pain with the anesthetic of love.
That's deep.
And there's a guy named Scott Redmond, just a brilliant guy, and it was something, but it's okay to be tough. As long as you know there's love.
Right.
And I
constructive,
think,
not angry. I think you can say something that expresses pain, and it could, for the other person, or can make it could be a difficult thing to discuss.
Yeah, and I think there's boundaries. And I think you have to respect the boundaries, and I think you have to take yourself out emotionally when you're dealing with someone that's going through that, and really look at it. It's not about you. It's about someone going through addiction.
And if you can't do that, and you don't have those skills, there are people that can help you.
Right.
Yes.
You and your family unit.
Agreed.
You don't have to do that by yourself.
And you're right, though, what you were saying, because, so many people, right, parents these days want to be friends with their kids. In the old days, it used to be parents that didn't want to be friends with their kids and were total, were the father from the Wonder Years. And now it's sort of like trying to mix them both together.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Right, and that's hopefully what we're saying to people is you don't have to be, the school teacher that hit you. You don't have to be the best friend gym teacher. It's trying to find the mix in the middle of, and it's a hard mix, and there are groups out there, there are therapists out there that can help you with that.
Very eloquent.
Yeah, every once in a while, it's when I think eloquence comes up.
When you don't think eloquence comes up.
And again, it's like I said, I could have said the most idiotic thing just now, but it sounded profound, so therefore it must be. And we're closing up on the show. I think it's important to wish everybody, again, out there, we have another 3 or 4 minutes, but it's New Year's.
See if you can get our guest's name right.
It's Hayley Mortison.
Excellent.
Yowza.
Only took an hour.
I mean, have you met any other Mortisons?
No.
Other than the ones that are related to you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there you go. But Mortensen, for some reason. I've never met a Mortensen either, but, I've heard of Mortons. I just put the aside.
Anyway, Hayley, give your site a plug again and tell us what you're doing one more time.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's SoberIsSexy.com, SEXYISEXY. And we're also selling it. Kat Von D is also sober, an amazing woman out there.
I didn't know that.
She sells our shirts and at her store Wonderland, and you can also catch us this year in a bunch of stores coming to you, close to you.
Very
so
cool.
we're excited. And
if you need any male models, Andrew has willfully said he will model sober as sexy
I love it.
clothing.
I love you guys. I think you're terrific. And I just want to say I think what you're doing is amazing. And it's all about paying it forward. And what a great way to get, being sober out there and how cool it is. And
I really
You're right.
appreciate
And
that.
how fun it is.
It's fun. Hey, that's the thing. I mean, let's end with that.
Yeah.
Being sober is fun.
I could have been eating donuts, but instead I'm on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. I could, it is. It's. You're right. It is so much fun. It's about new experiences, and that's the thing.
How many people spend their lives in a bathroom?
And
I mean, that's
Elvis
where I
died
ended
in the
up.
bathroom.
There you go.
Right.
Thank you.
And it's like you were just saying when we were talking about with this woman, with her husband. You know what the thing I feel most bad about, and I know that's not grammatically correct. We get high by life.
That's right.
All three of us in here get the natural buzz, and it's not always great, and it's not always easy. But those moments that are great when you do them sober, there is nothing better.
No, nothing.
There is nothing better than the first time you have sober sex, or you go on a date.
And
for
as
the
long
first
as
time.
as long as you're using, you're not going to get to have the opportunity.
And by the way,
to have
sober
those good
sex
things
is
happen.
awesome. I just want to put that
I think
out
we
there
should
for
close it
anybody
on
who's
that.
worried about
We should
that.
just close the show on that. Thank you, Hayley
Judah,
Mortison.
quickly, just tell people how they can reach us.
Yeah, you could reach us on Facebook.com. You could reach us on Facebook at KLEANRadio.com. That's Klean Radio. Or go to KLEANRadio.com with a K, Klean Radio. Facebook us. Ask us any questions you have. It's fun. It's free. We won't ask you for anything.
Happy New Year, and we've been Klean Radio.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call Klean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future.